Khamzat Chimaev just absolutely dominated Dricus du Plessis. And now we're thinking, who the heck wants to fight Khamzat next? And there's a few. We got Fluffy, we got Rainer, we got Imavov, and we got Kaio. Those guys are obviously the clear front runners, the front runner four, if you must, contenders to fight Chimaev next. If there's anybody else, I would be kind of lying to myself. I don't believe there's anybody else close to contention. Adesanya just lost multiple times. Strickland just lost. I mean, yes, they could do that for the money-wise, the star power that Chimaev could get from beating a Sean Strickland, the build-up to those kind of matchups. Just, it would be a disservice to the sport in general to do those matchups next. It wouldn't be right. It would be like giving O'Malley another title fight after he just lost twice. So please, UFC, don't even entertain any of those matchups. You got Whitaker who just lost. You got Page there. You got Brendan Allen. But none of that makes sense. It's literally these four in contention. And there's a lot to kind of digest here because Imavov and Kaio are about to fight. 2 weeks from now, they fight. September 6th. And in 2 weeks, I think both of them are going to take significant damage in a 5-round decision. Fluffy and Rainer de Ritter fight very, very close to that October pay-per-view that Chimaev wants to fight. So I highly, highly doubt the winner of Rainer de Ritter, Anthony Hernandez, is going to get the next title shot no matter what. No matter what. I really don't think so. There's a possibility. There is a possibility, which I'm going to lay out for you guys. Imavov and Kaio is the only hope for an October Khamzat Chimaev return. That's about it. Nobody else. There's not another guy I can look at and say them versus Chimaev in October makes sense. It is literally Imavov or Caio Borralho somehow not taking enough damage and able to make a month and a half, 2-month return versus one of the scariest dudes in middleweight history in Khamzat Chimaev. And I don't see that as being very likely. I really don't. For them to make that quick of a turnaround, I don't think Imavov is going to get an easy finish. I don't think Caio is going to get an easy finish. I think they're going to go to war. They're going to have a 5-round banger in Paris in front of those crazy fans over there. And I think the winner of that's going to be looking like December, January, February to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I don't think they're going to be able to fight very soon, very quickly against Khamzat Chimaev. And that actually, the more that I'm thinking about it, leaves the door open for Fluffy and Rainer de Ritter a lot more than you would think. Rainer de Ritter and Fluffy, obviously they're not going to be able to fight against Khamzat Chimaev on the Abu Dhabi card, which Khamzat wants to return on. It seems like that's going to be super, super unlikely to happen. But they could steal a title fight here. We've seen it before where we have two top contender matchups, two title eliminator type matchups. And, maybe one's a number 1 contender versus number 3, and one of them's number 4 versus number 5, kind of like this situation. And number 1 wins, but it's a boring decision. Not impressive. They didn't stamp their claim as the next title contender. While they might have beaten the best guys and be the highest ranked, the UFC kind of needs a little bit more than that. They need a little bit more than that. And Fluffy and Rainer de Ritter, that number 4, number 5, ranked guys, they go out there and have an impressive war, fight of the night, and ended off with a finish. They submit each other. Fluffy submits de Ritter. De Ritter knocks out Fluffy. And we have one of those moments like we saw with Lerone Murphy. Well, then I see a likelihood of Fluffy getting the next title shot, of Rainer de Ritter getting the next title shot. I actually see this being a more likely the more that I think about it and the more that I talk about it. So, because right now, the deservedness goes to Imavov Caio. If Caio beats Imavov, he deserves it the most. He deserves that title shot the most. If Imavov beats Caio, he deserves the title shot the most. But how they win really matters in the UFC nowadays. Again, I believe Imavov gets a decision. I believe he does. I believe he wins a 48-47 back and forth, maybe a split, maybe just a slight lean, unanimous decision to Imavov. And I think the winner of Fluffy and Rainer de Ritter, it all comes down to how they win. And I think their likelihood they win by finish and they win in a very fun back and forth fight is much higher than Imavov and Caio. So prediction-wise, again, I think it's very, very close for the winner of Fluffy and Rainer to get the title shot or the winner of Imavov and Caio to get the title shot. But if I had to bet my life on it, if I had to bet everything on who is going to fight Khamzat Chimaev next, I'd lean Imavov. I would lean Imavov as the most likely for this because although I do see Fluffy or Rainer getting a finish and doing all that, I believe Imavov's going to start talking online. He's going to start chirping. We've seen him already chirping and talking with Kaio. Both of them are good talkers. Rainer de Ritter's pretty quiet, pretty mellow. He says some things every now and then. Fluffy's pretty quiet and mellow. But I think because they're fighting in September, Rainier and Fluffy are fighting in October, there's a lot of time in between there for the winner of Imavov Kaio to really state their claim, win their fight, and then start badgering and talking to Khamzat Chimaev online and get that fight booked and get the fans interested. So I think it's going to be Imavov. If I had to bet my life on it, I would go Imavov, Caio Borralho, winner of Imavov Caio Borralho versus Khamzat Chimaev in January. I don't think they're going to fight this year. September, October, November, December, 3 months. I say 4. I think it's going to be a January return. Khamzat Chimaev, Nasruddin Imavov, and then maybe if Rainier wins, he fights Strickus. Maybe if Fluffy wins, he fights Strickus, or maybe the winner there just as the backup, for Imavov and Khamzat Chimaev. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of discussion going to be had about who gets that next title shot, because deservedly it's going to be Imavov, but there's a chance Rainier or Fluffy could steal that shot. We move on to our next one here in the UFC middleweight division as well. We got Brendan Allen, Dricus du Plessis. And the reason I do this matchup next, the reason you might be like, oh my God, number 1, Dricus du Plessis. He just was the champion. He just lost to Chimaev, the undefeated, now top 5 pound for pound, Khamzat Chimaev. Why would you put him against Brendan Allen? That doesn't make sense, right? I can give a few reasons why it makes perfect sense. Number 1, Imavov, Fluffy, Caio, all these guys are fighting right now. Rainer de Ritter, they're fighting each other. The legends, he's already fought. He's already fought Adesanya. He's already fought Sean Strickland. You got Whitaker there. He's already fought him. So you go down the line of what fights are already booked and who is he already fought in. It clears out a lot of the names that Dricus could possibly fight next. And that leaves the door open for Brendan Allen, who doesn't have a fight, just one, is looking for a shot up the rankings. And I believe is a very, very finishable opponent. Is a very, very finishable opponent. You might be like, why? He doesn't really have a crazy good chin. He's been knocked out before a few times. His grappling is legit, which will still give Dricus du Plessis another camp to focus on high-level grappling and wrestling. Wasn't able to show that against Khamzat Chimaev, but it'll give him another camp to really downpack it, win this fight, win another fight, and get back to Khamzat Chimaev in the future, while still preparing for that grappling and wrestling style, just on a much more mellow level in terms of Brendan Allen. And like I said, it's a very finishable opponent. You give him a guy like, I don't know, the loser of Caio and Imavov, the winner of Fluffy and Rainer de Ritter. These are tough matchups. We want to get Dricus back on the win streak, coming off a big loss, dominant loss. We want to get him a feeder win, is what I like to call it. A feeder win where you're going to showcase, Dricus still has what it takes to be champion, and goes out there and finishes Brendan Allen. Then you give him a guy in the top 5, and then maybe the landscape's a little different, and maybe he can get himself back in line for a shot against the champion Khamzat Chimaev again. Highly possible that could be the case. So this is a matchup just to keep Dricus busy, to give Allen a shot up the rankings, and get Dricus another finish. A finish is very, very clear, to get him back in the good graces with the UFC fans and know, okay, he's still legit, he's still good, he's not washed, as some casuals might say. Just get him back in there. We move on. Now, I don't necessarily want this matchup. A lot of people do. A lot of people love, oh my God, a Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya rematch. A lot of people like that. I'm not really one of them. I think the first fight was okay. It was just a lot more of the, oh my God, Sean Strickland just did that to Israel Adesanya. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is a banger, back and forth war. It was just so surprising to see Sean Strickland dominate and walk down and just easily win against Israel Adesanya that first time around in, I think it was Australia, right? It was more what kind of thing than a like genuine, this is an amazing fight. But for the casuals, for the fighters that just watch McGregor, just watch O'Malley, just watch these guys that are the big stars of the UFC, this is a star-filled matchup that you can easily put in November in Madison Square Garden as the co-main event. This is easily a match you can put in December in the T-Mobile Arena and get people to buy the pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view for the UFC in a while. And I think that's the only reason you do this, because me personally, I would have done Israel Adesanya versus Fluffy. I would have done Sean Strickland versus Reiner de Ridder, and I would have gotten both of those guys to beat a name in that top five, cement themselves as top five guys while beating a former champion. They went the other way, so this is kind of how we have to do it now, and how I think the UFC is going to do it. I really think they are going to do Israel versus Sean Strickland. I think Israel might win in the rematch. Sean might win on that. It doesn't really matter. Winner here is just going to fight. Maybe the winner here fights the winner of Fluffy and Reiner de Ridder on the same card as Khamzat Chimaev Imavov. You can kind of think about these things a lot more as you look at the matchups and realize there's some fun to be had. There is some fun to be had. So the winner here, I would say, versus the winner of Fluffy and Reiner de Ridder. Put it on the same card. You still have Fluffy as the backup. Reiner de Ridder as the backup to fight Chimaev. But I think that would make sense. Then we have Michael Venom Page and Robert Whittaker. This is number 8, Robert Whittaker, former champion, versus number 10, Michael Venom Page, the newly ranked middleweight. You can see why I booked this matchup. Fairly obvious for the common eye to discover why I would want this matchup. It's a great striking battle. High technique between the both of the two. Very bouncy and explosive. Like to get in and out. Like to wait, and then pounce on their opponents. And ranking-wise, it makes sense. 8 versus 10. Lost. Just won. Just makes sense ranking-wise. Makes sense for a good striking battle. 5-round main event. Pay-per-view main card. Either way, I'd like to see it. Paulo Costa versus Jared Cannonier. Now, Jared's ranked 11th. Paulo is ranked 13th. Again, another fight ranking-wise makes a lot of sense. Fun-wise, it makes a lot of sense. Paulo's going to come forward. Jared's going to come forward. They both throw high volume, and they land some good, powerful punches. They both... Jared doesn't have a crazy chin, but he's got better technique than Paulo. Paulo's got better power. So we'll see. I think this is a good matchup. I think it's a fun back and forth matchup that could kind of go either way. I can see a Paulo knockout. I can see a Jared back and forth decision. I can see a 5-rounder for this. I can see a 3-rounder being fun. Either way, I like it. And then we give a shot to the unranked Abus or Joe Pyfer. Joe and Abus are fighting, what is it, a month from now? August 25th. So we got a little bit of time before this one happens, but Roman, I mean, you just got yourself handled. You just got handled by Fluffy Hernandez. So let's give you an unranked guy. Let's prove that you still deserve and have what it takes to be in this middleweight top 15. And let's give you the winner of Joe Pyfer and Abus Magomedov, which I think are both fantastic matchups. Abus and Roman Dolidze, I believe, is a close one. You could put that on any European pay-per-view or UFC Fight Night main card, whatever. Joe Pyfer versus Roman Dolidze. I think style-wise, it's very, very, very fun. Roman Dolidze just doesn't have that level of strike. He's got good striking. It's not high level. It's kind of just like above average. Piper's obviously got the better strike in there. Roman's going to likely want that fight to get to the ground. And it's a good test for both. Proves, is Roman still top 15 level? And Joe Pyfer, was that Jack Hermanson fight just because it was 5 rounds, or are you truly not top 15 level? I like it. Then we move on to Gregory and Marvin. I want this on the prelim headliner of UFC 310 or 323. My God, December pay-per-view. I want this fight. I don't know why. I can give a few reasons. Marvin has that chin and Gregory has that power. That's the main reason in my head that I want this matchup. Ranking wise, it makes sense. They both beat Jack Hermanson in the past. Gregory just knocked him out fantastically. Kind of deserves a shot right inside of the top 15 or right outside. Marvin has to go outside of the rankings, fight an unranked guy for sure. And I like this matchup. I think it'll be fun. I think Gregory landing on Marvin's chin is just going to be something I'm very, very intrigued to see. So book it. Book it. And we got Nursultan Roman Dolidze. Put this on that October Abu Dhabi pay-per-view. Put it on November Qatar UFC Fight Night. Either way, put it on one of those type of cards. Nursultan 4-0 in the UFC middleweight division. 3 finishes. Beat Bruno Ferreira with a nice round 1 knockout. I think he deserves. He was supposed to fight Brian Battle. I think he deserves a shot inside of the UFC rankings. He's been doing good things, getting finishes, having fun, wars in the middleweight division. I don't believe Roman should be ranked. Simple as that. So let's give him an unranked guy, see if he's really all that is cracked up to be there. Nursultan Roman Dolidze. I think it's a fun one. So that's what we have for the rankings. That is what we have for the UFC rankings. For unranked, obviously, you got Ikram fighting Jin Young Park. You got Joe Pyfer fighting Abus. All of these ones, like Ikram, if he's able to win that one, you can easily do him versus the loser here. You can easily do him versus the loser here. We have options for those guys outside of the rankings, but this at least gives a few fresh new faces to the rankings. Joe Pyfer entering the rankings. Abus was just ranked. Now he's unranked. Give him his shot back in. Gregory, give him his shot. Give Nursultan his shot. It just gives a few new, fresh faces. And for the losers here, right here, these two, the losers there can get some new, fresh faces into the top 15. Like Ikram, like these guys, like Joe Pyfer. But we shall see. We shall see. Those are my fights to make next. Again, I'm still back and forth. I'm going to go Imavov as the next title contender, but I'm just not sold. Not sold. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.